r/askreddit by Reddit watchers. What did the popular kid at your school do to go from cool to an absolute outcast? Joined a gang. Moved up the ranks. Ordered the firebombing of a rival gang member's house. Dude wasn't home but his 4 little brothers and sisters were. None of them made it out of the house. He'll be in federal lockup until the day he dies. Man, that's ducked up. Semi-popular. Kinda preppy kid. Tried to kill his parents by pouring vodka around their bed at night and setting it on fire because they took his CDs away. Tried is the key word here. Liquor doesn't burn that well. He got a bad haircut. Was teased for it and threw a temper tantrum. He literally stormed out in the middle of class. He lost his spot as king bully after that. She was pretty and fairly popular and near the end of the school year told everyone she had cancer. We were approaching the end of grade 7 at the time. Eventually literally everyone knew. Teachers, other parents, other grades, etc. And it kind of united everyone who weren't typically friends, and that was kind of cool. Until one day, maybe a week or 2 in, a pair of girlfriends go to visit her at her parents' house and they bring it up and discover it was a hoax. She pissed off a lot of people and lost all her friends after that. Gained new ones eventually. But what a goddamn weird thing to lie about. Same thing happened at my middle school. The girl would skip school and tell her friends she was absent because she was undergoing chemo. One of our friends brought it up to a teacher when the teacher mentioned something about her missing class so much and the teacher called her mom. I still remember her mom calling me and telling me she was calling everyone in the girl's address book to tell them her daughter did not have cancer. She lost some friends afterwards as well because a lot of people thought she was weird for lying about that. Pulled out a knife and slashed another student. Kid with a knife went to outcast status. Kid that got slashed became super cool and had a scar. Everyone wanted to see it. I can link to an article about the stabbing if anyone's interested. Edit. Telegraph Co UK link. So your school had a knife incident and their response was to ban phones. The phones who had the evidence were to blame but not the knife for the lack of security in school. Guy got accused of rape at a party and nobody believed the girl. And people spread vicious rumors about her and sided with him. The whole thing seemed like everyone viewed him as a victim. And he played himself up that way. Until a few months later, another girl said she had been raped by him at a party. And multiple other people at the party saw her hysterically crying and bruised afterwards. There were not so many people supporting him after that. I got away with it once. I'm sure I can do it again. Hope the girls are okay. That's horrible to hear. Known party girl at my school was texting while driving. She hit and killed someone crossing the street. Her father was a SGT in the police department. She went to jail for 6 months and then had to do probation community service. Not quite sure what happened after the fact. She deleted everything tied to her. This was 2 days after high school graduation. We just had something similar happen here. Girl is high and runs a stop sign plowing into a family of 4. Killed the dad. Mommy is a sheriff. She was just sentenced today and got 15 weeks. Graduated high school. He turned into that 30-year-old dude that still hasn't gotten over high school. We had a friend who was like that. We all realized we grew apart when he tries to sack tap everyone at the barbecue and still trying to do the party boy gimmick from Jackass. Edit. To clarify with some comments about this dude. We haven't gotten together in like 7 or so years after high school. So this was the first thing he started doing when he arrived with the rest of the gang. No warming up or anything. Just a straight tap on the sack and laughing maniacally. There was a girl that was the popular girl in school. She had all the friends and even put out an album. She was a total star locally. One day we were taking standardized tests and she runs out of the room and doesn't return. When we left the class there was green diarrhea all over the floor just down the hall from the classroom. Poor girl didn't make it to the bathroom in time. She didn't return to school that school year and moved to another town school completely after that. She married a famous NFL player and is one of these Instagram PPL now, so she bounced back from a shitty situation pretty well. PLS tell me she dating a Green Bay Packer? He got drunk and finger banged a sheep at an outdoor party. He spent the next 3 years as the sheep ducker. Edit. Everyone assumes he was Welsh or from New Zealand. This was upstate NY. You build hundreds of bridges throughout your life. And nobody calls you a bridge builder. But you duck one goat. I remember in middle school a popular kid asked out the most unpopular girl and then embarrassed her in front of everybody by breaking up with her and laughing in her face about how she could think it was real. It was really sad, and I remember her being really into high school TV shows, and I think she really wanted to be popular. Like she hoped life would be like a Disney show or something. IDK what happened to him, but I remember everyone kind of being like, dude. And he moved a bit later. In high school the popular kids weren't necessarily bullies. They weren't super welcoming into their circle to invite everyone to parties and stuff, but they weren't total bullies, at least that I know of. They were just good at sports and attractive pretty much. That happened in our school too, except the popular guy kept being popular. I hated him after that incident. And I felt so bad for the girl. Like everyone felt bad for the girl. But I was one of maybe 5 people who then felt angry towards the guy. Everyone else just let it go as if he wasn't the reason we all felt bad for the girl. It's been nearly 20 years since that happened, and that's still what I think about when I see him. Crack. He and his couple friends started smoking crack senior year of high school. They got quarantined to themselves. Ran into one of them a couple weeks ago. He kept trying to get me back to their apartment to do meth. Well, at least he's off the crack. Well, everyone else grew up. He didn't. And doesn't seem to want to. Now it's everyone else's fault 10 years later. Ugh, this is the path my brother is going down. My mother fears that he will be 30 with no education, skills, or job. The kid just has no work ethic in him. It was easy for him to cruise through high school since literally it is almost impossible to fail, but when college came he got kicked out one semester in and now just does nothing. Accidentally left a video of himself sticking stuff up his ass on a phone that he sold to another student. I never saw him again after that. Plot twist, he was just trying to hook a brother up and it backfired. Killed an infant in a car accident. Completely shut down during senior year. Wouldn't talk to anybody anymore. Ugh, Jesus. That sounds like one of those situations which ends horribly for every single person involved. Blah. She was hired to dog sit for a neighbor when they went out of town. She decided to take advantage of the empty house and throw a party at the neighbor's house that got out of hand. A neighbor's daughter also went to the school and had to deal with a messed up house. Pretty big deal, and the popular girl never came back. Wholesome for once, I guess. All popular kids in my school were complete dongheads that bullied others. This fella, king of the hill, starts dating a girl from another school that was friends with one of the bullied kids. The kid told the girl what her boyfriend does in THT school. So the girl threatened to break up with him if he didn't change his ways. He stopped socializing with the cool folks and started getting bullied by them. And none of the other kids wanted to warm up to him. He was a loner at school, but he made his GF happy and he was happy. That makes me happy. He stood for what mattered most to him and it made him a better man. He was popular because he was a rebel that talked back to teachers and insulted them openly. He became an outcast because he made the teacher everyone loved cry. I had a guy in my class do this recently. Nobody really talks to him anymore. He kept going on about being a golden god and how we were all his minions. Got hit by a train. Everyone cared about him until he got out of the hospital and wasn't the same mentally, from head trauma. All the other popular kids mock him and have him blocked on social media to this day. That's messed up. Got an 8th grade girl pregnant while he was a junior in high school. He eventually transferred out because everyone hated him so much. For those not in America, that's at least a 4-year age gap. 17-year-old knocking up a 13-year-old. Our senior year, this kid used to boast all the time about smoking weed and getting drunk. One day, about halfway through the year, he showed up to first period, 8 AM, art class. Hammered. He passed out in class and busted his head open, bleeding everywhere. He had bottles of booze, a bunch of weed, and a ton of pills in his backpack. He was taken away in an ambulance, and no one really ever heard from him again. We had then homeschool. Probably. Most popular kid in my middle school was this big Samoan dude. Looked like he was 13 going on 25 years old. I remember he gained a lot of popularity when he serenaded this girl in class to ask her to the dance. He had music playing on his iPhone and he started belting out love songs while on bended knee. Later on that year he went from hero to zero when we found out he'd been molesting his sister. 0-100 real ducking quick. I'm pretty sure they never left hometown and are now populating house parties. Trying to hook up with 14-year-olds. He keeps getting older. But they stay the same age. He got drunk and killed a family of 4 in a car accident. That's so dark. Cool twin brothers from my HS drove home intoxicated from a football game. Crossed a double yellow and smashed head on into a car coming in the opposite direction, killing the other 2 occupants almost instantly. The brother not driving was severely injured and is currently still slightly mentally disabled. The brother driving came away with relatively minor injuries. Somehow he got away with no charges filed, probably on account of his lawyer father. He was also on one of our more successful teams, so when he returned to school a couple of weeks later they announced it during a school assembly. Basically celebrating his return and congratulating him on a speedy recovery. Some of his friends started applauding. But pretty much everyone else ostracized him from that point on. Given the fact that he killed 2 people. And yes, he still is and was a piece of shit. I don't get why. In accident stories like this, the drunk driver almost always survives and it's always random people who get killed. It's so ducking unfair. She tried to manipulate all her friends and pit them against each other with a bunch of catty lies. Well, that in combination with wearing her pageant sash and crown to school for like a week. All girls school. Was your friend Iago by any chance? Well, the popular girl at my school tried to ruin the life of a really sweet girl because of boyfriend drama. When she realized people were standing up for the sweet girl instead, she lost her mind, accusing the other girl and her boyfriend of property damage, turning on anyone who didn't swear loyalty to her, turning people against one another, screaming at teachers. It was a mess. The nail in the coffin was when she confided to me and 2 others that she was planning to put laxatives in the pastries she baked for the class. Obviously I let people know. And she became completely ostracized. She left at the end of junior year. And senior year was the most chill year ever. I don't blame you for letting people know. You can't let that shit slide. Graduated. Turns out, some learned the hard way that adulthood is not the same as high school. That's blunt. And true. Guy got caught with a bunch of heroin in the trunk of his car. On school grounds and was over 18 as a senior. Never saw or heard about him after that. But I'm guessing it didn't go well for him. There was a popular cheerleader at my school that was in a bad car wreck and she suffered severe brain damage. The day she came back, some of her friends, aka the popular kids, sat with her at lunch. Every day after that though, they sat on the other side of the cafeteria in their normal spot and she was with the other special needs students. They would walk past her without saying a word. As far as everyone knew, her entire group of friends completely abandoned her. I don't think she missed them though. So silver lining. She seemed to be very happy most of the time after the accident. Not so much before. This was in the mid-late 80s. And every teen movie with a bunch of shitty preppies pretty much accurately depicts the popular kids in my HS. Exact same happened in my class. She had a shitty boyfriend who she wanted to break up with because he was mean to her, but he died in the accident, so all she remembered was how great he was because of her mental issues after the accident. Edit. It's been 35 years. After telling my kids about this, I remember that though she had some small memory coordination issues, she was on the cheer squad senior year. My class had some jackasses. But this girl wasn't treated poorly. Best answer to this happens between elementary and middle school. Our elementary was small. And we fed into a middle school with a much bigger school. Think 20% us. And 80% them. Most popular kid showed up on the first day. After only knowing what it's like to be the coolest kid in the small school. And tried to start shit with some random kid. Who was with 11 of his friends. To show how cool and top dog he was to everyone, I guess. Yeah. Those 12 guys beat him up and then made fun of him for years. He wasn't cool anymore. Just that fast. By high school nobody cared anymore. But he was never really popular again. This sounds like how every inside prison documentary goes down. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.